What's up, everyone? Christian Duke, StrengthAddicts.com, brought to you courtesy of IronMagLabs.com, your go-to source for all your bodybuilding and fitness supplements. Also, be sure to check out Andro Hard topical muscle enhancement gels available at MuscleGels.com. So, Luimarco is a little bit upset right now at Dave Palumbo because Dave Palumbo, in his eyes, fucked him over. And I would have to agree to a certain extent because, Louis went on and did that interview with him at a time when the story with William Bonac was at its hottest. Everybody was talking about it. He didn't have to do it, but he did it. Louis also thought, in my opinion, rather naively, that because him and Dave shared Aaron Singerman / Redcon 1 and whatever relationship they share, that was some sort of insurance policy. I think he also thought that by the fact that, he mentioned Dave and RX Muscle as part of the new wave, as part of the hip crowd, as far as the hip people covering bodybuilding alongside with himself and Nick Strength and Power, that would create a little bit of goodwill. And I think he also thought that by doing the interview that might create somehow a little bit of loyalty. So he had the insurance with Aaron, he had the loyalty by doing the interview, he had the goodwill by mentioning Dave and doing some PR kindness to RX Muscle, and a week later Dave Palumbo has a panel of people that are basically ribbing on him, attacking him. He doesn't get invited to the panel. He doesn't even know about the panel. He finds out about this video just like everybody else, just probably seeing it on his newsfeed, and he's thinking to himself, what the fuck, this is my new friend and look what he does to me. You know what I mean? In a mainstream non-fitness industry sort of context, that is majorly fucked up. In a fitness industry context, as long as your name is mentioned, whether it's positive or negative, it doesn't really matter. You know what I mean? Even in my case, if they call me Dookie, who cares? I mean, it's a little bit bigoted. I heard that from a lot of racist people when I was growing up. People would say stuff like, we're in America, we don't speak Spanish here. That kind of, but if you want to be whatever, it's not nice to make fun of people's last names, but like I said, as long as people mention you, that's a good thing. But that's fitness industry context. Luimarco's not in the fitness industry in that context. In other words, he is most definitely part of the industry. He's most definitely relevant. Of course, he's got one of the biggest channels on YouTube, but he doesn't know how the industry operates, and he doesn't know what some media platforms do to get hits, especially ones like RX Muscle that are basically, just barely standing up because they're leaning on the ropes. Now, speaking to that point, the last couple of days I've been talking to Johnny Styles, and I got to tell you something, everybody, us included, we were thinking when Luimarco did that interview to RX Muscle that it was going to get 150,000, 200,000 on the low end, because Louis got hundreds of thousands of subscribers. RX has got about 60, 65,000. There's an RX Muscle website and the message boards, and when things go viral, they pop up on the Mist, they pop up on Get Big, on MD, everywhere. And so we thought 150,000 easily, as much as $250,000. I mean, some people were, coming up with some really crazy numbers like 300, 350. That's a little too much, but 150 easy, low end, to as high as about $250,000 realistically. And the interview barely by the skin of its teeth. I'm talking like 49,900-ish views the first week, and that was really, really bad. I mean, like, that just shows that even if you bring a superstar like Luimarco, you may not like Louis, but he's a superstar. You got to recognize that, and you bring him to RX Muscle, it still doesn't get the hits. So, he really went out on a limb. He really did. There's no reason. Louis got absolutely nothing except maybe a part of him, like a part of me when I worked with Dave and RX was like, oh my God, I've made it. Maybe a part of him like that had been in there for like 10 years was like, oh wow, I'm finally doing, one of these shows. But he really had nothing to gain, absolutely nothing to gain by going on RX Muscle. If he had gone on Generation Iron, had he gone on Muscular Development, had he gone on, Flex Online, but by going on RX Muscle, he had absolutely nothing to gain. He did it, I think, maybe because of the Redcon connection, maybe just because he wanted to be nice, maybe because he actually wanted to be friends with Dave, and Dave colossally fucked that up. You know what I mean? And so, in terms of Louis calling the folks on the panel has-beens, I mean, Greg Valentino's no has-been. I mean, he's working with Iron Mag Labs, he's working with Muscular Development, Generation Iron all 3 seasons, Explicit Labs. He's been on Jay Leno, Tyra, Carson Daly. He's been in newspapers, magazines, not as a bodybuilder, as Greg Valentino. Not as a guy in green face paint trying to be the Hulk, but as Greg Valentino. Not asked, oh, how many times do we, or poor Flex Lewis on BBC, may I touch your arm? Nothing like that. Like, as a person. So, he's no has-been. Chris Aceto is a great contest prep coach. You know, spends a little bit too much time, in my humble opinion, doing interviews and play-by-plays and handicapping shows in the parking lot when he should have his ass in the hotel room with his clients 24/7. Not get to Tampa a week before the show and not be helping Regan 24/7, but be doing shit with RX Muscle. But is he a has-been? No. But do people get excited to see a contest prep coach? Oh, excuse me, Phil Heath, I got to let you go. It's Henry Rambod. No, they don't. So it's like bodybuilding is a niche sport, but to follow contest prep coaches is such a small niche that I don't even think it's really quite possible to even measure how few people get excited about contest prep coaches. So he's not a has-been, but he's just not really a draw. You know what I mean? In fact, when RX Muscle is hurting, and they should be hurting after 50,000 views for the Luimarco interview, that's pathetic. Whenever they're hurting badly, you know they're hurting badly because Dave will always bring Greg Valentino or Boston Lloyd in, because that is a sign that RX Muscle, you know how Dave likes to talk about the death cycle? Well, this isn't a death cycle in terms of supplements, it's a death cycle in terms of guests, shows, you know, that don't do shit. And whenever they're in that cycle, they bring in Boston or Greg. And of course, they don't pay either one of them, not even their fuel mileage, because, you know, why cut back? You know what I mean? But the thing is point is that they make a lot of money off those two, and they don't give them shit. Sometimes I think they give them supplements, I think, because, you know, you can pay the rent with supplements. But Steve Blackman's a cheap one. Not Dave. Dave's not cheap. No way. Dave didn't lay off his whole staff a month before Christmas with no notice. That's not... Well, actually, that is Dave, but, you know. But let's not talk about that. John Romano. Yeah. He wrote a cookbook. He did great work with Paul Dillette. I mean, Paul really looked statuesque as they were taking him off the stage. And, yeah, John's a has-been, totally. Now, he was a senior editor of MD for like 19 years. A very, very cool title. I don't know if he was actually the senior editor, because you think senior editor, you think, you know, covering the whole magazine, not like 5 or 6 articles. But maybe he was. I don't know. But he was senior editor. Who cares? Oh, my God, it's the senior editor. Oh, my God, it's the redactions. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Oh, my. Is that the accounting person? Oh, gee. Who cares? So you worked at a magazine in the office for 2 decades. You wrote a cookbook, and you did great work with Paul Dillette. I mean, such great work that it was earth-shattering. You know what I mean? 40 milligrams, I heard. I don't know. The point is that, yeah, John's a has-been. Chris is not a has-been, but he's a contest prep coach with really no claim to fame. And, you know, Greg is most definitely not a has-been. Like I said, Greg is the one, and Boston. I'm surprised he didn't bring Boston. If you had Boston Lloyd in there and Greg, then if I was an advertiser, I'd have been thinking, is this website going to be around in 2018? But he only brought on Greg, so that's good. Sadiq is a commentator, producer, hell of a talented guy, you know, and very cagey. Would never want to play cards or chess, especially not cards with Sadiq. He's got a good poker face. And then Dave, I mean, you know, Dave's a train wreck. I mean, come on, guys. I mean, honestly, Dave, you know, he's a good guy, but you know, it's, I don't know. So I mean, you know, to me, honestly, I don't know what he's thinking. You know, I think he just, you know, from getting kicked out of nationals. I mean, 2017 has been a really bad year for Palumbo. Got thrown out of nationals. You know, the whole Peter McGuff nonsense that he created that he had to retract because, you know, he looked so stupid. You know, just a lot of crap, really. And you know, he's got to be wondering, you know, what's the future of this website? You know what I mean, what's the future of RX? Am I gonna keep doing it? Am I gonna run a full-time snake business? Am I gonna be a snake? You know, these are things, you know, because you spend enough time with snakes, you know, it rubs off on you. Yeah, I mean, and Louis probably thinks that Palumbo is the biggest snake in the book. I don't think so, personally. I think he's just, I think he's a witty, really New York type guy. He sees opportunities, and he's a hustler, and in the best possible way. I'm a hustler. You got to be a hustler. You got to be able to get hits even if nothing's going on. Right now we're in a lull. I mean, there's no real active. I mean, most of the shows are over with. You know, I mean, like everybody's hunkered down. There's really nothing going on until the Arnold Classic. So the fact that I'm sitting here at 6:35 a.m. doing a video, and many other people have done, many people much more popular than me have done response videos. It's a good thing, you know. It just might not be a good thing in Luimarco's eyes. And when Luimarco's so popular, you know, he might declare all-out war. Now, Louis did not mention Greg Valentino, and that's interesting because Greg is the kingfish in that whole group. I mean, Dave's a nobody, John's a nobody, Chris Aceto is like whatever, and Sadiq is. I mean, I love Sadiq, but Sadiq's not a bodybuilder, and you know. And he hasn't really, his only real claim is RX muscle, but he's still in the industry most definitely. I mean, you know, I'm not a bodybuilder, you know, fuck that, you know, I'm too tall, you know. But, I don't know. I don't know. I wonder what Louis is thinking right now. I'm not trying to make light of it. I'm not trying to make fun of him. When you feel like you've been betrayed, that's wow, that's, you know, I don't know. Because I tell you something, you know, Jason Genova and these Order 66s, that can be a pain in the ass. Really, can be a pain in the ass. Look what it's done to Kali. Look what it's done to Rich Piana. May rest in peace. Look what it did to Mark Lobliner. Those Order 66s can be a pain in the ass. But imagine if someone like Luimarco, who's like 10 or 20 times easily more popular than Jason Genova, went to war with you. Imagine the kind of havoc that Luimarco could wreak on RX Muscle.